Nation of Fit and 10, welcome to day 15. Not day 15. We got 15 days to go. Welcome to day 55. 15 days to go, just over 2 weeks. And I want to remind you to keep going and keep putting in all the effort, if not more effort, if possible. Well, I think it is always possible. A lot can happen still in 2 weeks. Okay, still 1/5 of the challenge. You know, when you think about it like that, it's still a lot, right? 1/5, 20%. I want to reread a question that I read yesterday, so let's get into it right away. Habits for better recovery. Despite prioritizing good sleep, I can feel really depleted after some workouts. I'm finding it really tempting to take extra recovery days, which can spiral and put me way off course. So one thing I just want to say on this that I didn't mention yesterday is it's okay for you if you feel like you need it, take an extra recovery day. Okay, just take one day. Don't let it go any more than that. Have 1 day of extra recovery can make a huge difference, like huge, especially if you're training on a regular basis. So give yourself 1 day and then get back on the horse. Okay, you've got to set yourself up with some boundaries, especially when it comes to food. Do what you need to do to give yourself some slack, perhaps. You know, maybe it's that you're going to eat a little bit extra carbohydrates beyond what you're allotted to have that day. So you're going to have some extra fruit or something. All right? The key with all of this, like in the grand scheme of things, is not to, you know, imagine you've got this straight course that I want you to follow, but you know, you're not always going to be right on the money. So it's okay for you to make little detours, if you like, but don't veer way off. Okay? So if you make little detours here and there, it's not going to make a big difference in the grand scheme of things. All right? So just be aware of what changes you're making and what you're doing. All right? And if you feel yourself going way off course, you've got to, you know, take hold of the reins and get yourself back into that straight lane that we would like to be in, right? That's ideal. Just don't let yourself veer off course. You don't need to do that, right? But sometimes, yeah, we got to take a pit stop, or sometimes we need to take a little bit of a detour. You know, like I said, 2 steps back in order to make another 10 steps forward, right? But what we don't want to do is take 20 or 30 steps back, you know, and because it's not necessary. Okay. You know, just to mention some habits for better recovery, you know, getting enough calories. Now, I know enough is, what is enough? Well, that can vary depending on what you're doing, which we'll get to in the next question here, because I did read your next question. So getting enough calories, getting enough protein, getting enough of your nutrients. So not just your macronutrients, but your micronutrients. Hydration, so getting enough salts and water. And of course, getting that perhaps extra recovery if you need it, and or active recovery. Maybe we need to tone down the intensity a bit and keep some level of activity in there, but not to the same degree. Okay, but as I mentioned, don't veer way off course. All right, is there anything you'd like me to cover in this week's video series? Thoughts on races, triathlons, duathlons, marathons. After completing my first duathlon, run, I was useless for the rest of the day. I'm grateful for the experience and enjoyed the thrill of the race. But despite my legs feeling strong, yay, weight training, my knees were shot, especially going downstairs, and my head was pounding, and I napped and watched TV until bedtime. Thoughts on races? Well, you know, listen, if you're doing a triathlon or duathlon or marathon, these are extreme events. So yeah, you're going to feel shot after these, and you might feel shot for a couple of days. This is normal. These are extreme events. They're not designed for you to be doing on a regular basis. There may be the odd outlier, top-end athletes who just have a genetic capability to perhaps take on more overall workload and stress on a more consistent basis. But for most people, this is just not going to be the case. Okay, these are extreme events. So, anything that is competitive, especially with sports, competitive, I don't want to say that it's unhealthy, but the focus is not on health, right? The focus is on completion or perhaps winning these events, which, again, if you're competitive, if you're trying to do these things, complete these things, to have let's say a good time, these all demand a lot of energy and stress on the body. So we need to be very, very careful with these things. All right. So it depends on what you're, if you have a love for running or, whatever, but cycling or duathlons in this case, or triathlons, maybe you love swimming as well. I'm not sure. And you want to be competitive, then do it. So I'm not sure what your motivation is behind this. So if you really want to do it, I would say do it. Absolutely. But as a means for, if you're trying to get yourself on an even, balanced, healthy lifestyle where you're trying to improve your health, maybe your body composition, you're trying to find some happy balance with yourself, this is more extreme, right? So personally, it's not my cup of tea. I've never liked long distance. Even when I was doing track in school, it was always 100 and 200 and shot put. I always liked the short, more powerful events. And of course that probably explains why I really like weight training. But again, it's not really for me to say in that regard. It's what you enjoy. Okay. So, but the fact that you were spent, yeah, for sure. You are going to be probably spent for a couple days. In terms of your head pounding, yeah, this could be several factors, but the first thing that comes to mind is hydration. So especially with something like this where you're sweating a lot, you're going to be losing a lot of sodium and a lot of water. So you want to make sure you're getting really all of your electrolytes. So not just sodium, even though sodium's going to be a huge loss. That's going to be your number one electrolyte. That's going to be the predominant electrolyte that you lose through perspiration. But we want to look at things as like potassium, magnesium, calcium, zinc, chloride to a certain degree. These are all going to play a part in hydration, but most important is going to be the sodium. All right, so we want to make sure that we get enough of that. I should do a video. I got to look at my notes again in terms of what I recommend for water and sodium. But if you're doing, again, long events like this, you need extra amount of water and salts. Okay, really, really, really important. And again, for preparation in a race like this, you may want to consider doing some sort of carbohydrate loading leading up to the race. And this is going to help you after the race because you're better prepared. You're doing the things that are going to help you to get through the race, and that's going to make it easier on your body, right? You're going to be able to perform better. So your recovery afterwards will be better just because, in theory, you're not going to put as much stress on your body. Or you'll be better prepared to deal with the stress that's put on your body. 9 minutes here. Curious how this kind of training fits into overall health. The extent I needed to recover felt like putting unnecessary and excessive stress on the body, similar to a bad hangover. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's not a bad hangover, but you're demanding a huge amount of energy from your body. I don't think we were ever designed, I don't think evolutionarily we're designed to, I really don't, actually it's kind of silly to get into talks of evolution. I don't think we really knew how we used to live, but I don't think we were, I don't think we've evolved to do long, excessive type cardiovascular work. It was probably more short bursts, probably, but I mean, who knows, right? Again, always think happy medium with things, nothing extreme. Listen to your body. these things sound very trite, right? Like it's like, yeah, I've heard these things a million times, but they're so true. And in fact, as I mature, as I get older, as I continue to train, I realize actually how important this is with all aspects of life. With all aspects of, well, let's leave life out of it. Let's be more specific. With all aspects of nutrition, with aspects of, how much work you're going to do through the day, how much training you're going to do, all this type of stuff, right? So we need a happy medium. And we need to, as human beings, we seem to always want to do extremes, right? We're sort of like, we're all or nothing. And then if we're all, it's like, we're doing too much. And if it's not all, then it's nothing. It's like we're way off track. So, it seems like it's hard for humans to be, to follow that happy medium, right? All right, message of the day. What is my message of the day? I did not look at it on this day 55. All right, 2 things, because you may believe that, I don't know, maybe you believe that you are just genetically inferior to other people, perhaps, or, you just don't, you haven't been given, the right programming, in terms of the way you were, in terms of the way that you entered this life. So here are 2 things that you have full control over, okay, which will make a massive difference, which in my opinion are really a game changer. And that is your attitude and, of course, your level of effort. So effort and attitude. And effort and attitude can really take you from here to here, right? So give it your best effort, especially in these final 15 days. And remember, we pretty much choose what our attitude, we do choose. We choose what our attitude is going to be, right? So let's choose positivity. Let's choose half glass full. Let's choose to think positive thoughts, right? In terms of what we're capable of, in terms of that we're worthy of it, right? That we should be doing this, that we deserve this, right? That we are more than capable of continuing a lifestyle and a balance that is going to reward you into the future, right? It's going to support your health. It's going to support your well-being, right? You deserve this, right? So feed yourself with positive thoughts and let's put our best effort forward. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself. For the love of God, give some gratitude, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.